you, man. You too, and you too, man. Have a good weekend. See you on fight. It's gonna be a good one. Let's do it.
Backstage at UFC 319, a quiet corridor turned electric the instant Khamzat Chimaev rounded a corner and met the eyes of Dricus Du Plessis. No walkout lights, no pounding music, just two middleweights close enough to feel the other's breath. Chimaev looked huge, thicker through the shoulders and neck, the kind of compact mass that narrows a hallway. Dricus didn't blink. He wore that champion stillness, the calm you only learn after nights where everything goes wrong and you still find a way to win. No words needed to travel. The energy did it for them, and even the camera seemed to hold its own breath, as if it knew this first meeting was the spark the entire week had been waiting for. People who watched the clip noticed size first. Side by side, Khamzat's frame looked oversized even for 185, a dense kind of strength that turns tie-ups into downhill slides. There was a touch of height and reach too, and even the shaky camera couldn't hide it. Yet the champion carried a different weight, the kind you don't see until a fight gets ugly. 5-round memories, late rallies, stubborn recoveries. The face-to-face didn't settle anything. It sharpened the questions. And that is why Fight Week matters. Chimaev's reputation doesn't walk, it sprints. He closes distance like a pulled magnet, shoots from ranges most guys only use for feints, and drags fights into places where oxygen and confidence start leaking at the same time. That is the storm Dricus felt at arm's length. Not just a takedown threat, but a chain of moments. Clinch to mat, mat to fence, fence to pressure, that turns seconds into problems. The unsettling part is how little warning he gives. One heartbeat he is measuring, the next he is on your hips and the room tilts. Dricus Du Plessis isn't textbook clean, he is effective. He hits at odd tempos, steps at strange angles, and lands heavy right when an opponent thinks the exchange is over. He is hard to read and harder to discourage. He will eat a shot to give one back that matters more a minute later. Against someone like Chimaev, that chaos is not extra, it is essential. If you can't make the wrestler question when to commit, he will keep trying until the one attempt that changes everything gets through. There was respect in that hallway, and respect can be tactical. Khamzat's small smile looked like a promise. I am here to take, not to talk. Dricus's steady gaze answered with another, you can try. Fight Week psychology isn't just noise, it is temperature control. Stay too cold and you start slow. Run too hot and you chase shadows. This felt like two thermostats clicking to the exact setting for Saturday night. Each measured, each daring the other to blink. Somewhere, both corners nodded in approval. Strip it down and the matchup reads like a riddle. Size versus sturdiness, pace versus persistence, control versus scramble. Inside those headlines live the tiny battles that decide belts. First, the getup. Chimaev usually plants people. The question is whether he keeps them. Dricus has a stubborn stand, the grab the fence with your soul kind of refusal that steals time and frustrates plans. Second, the jab. If Dricus lands it early, he forces entries to start farther out, where even Khamzat's explosion must cross a little extra doubt. Third, the clinch break. Whoever scores on exits can tilt momentum without overextending. Those small taxes add up when minutes stack. Cardio is the truth serum. Rumors suggest both camps have replayed the other's late rounds frame by frame, circling moments where steps got sticky and hands returned slow. Chimaev is nightmare urgent early, but 5 rounds at middleweight is a different landscape. Dricus, for all the talk about his mechanics, tends to push into the fog when others fade. If this becomes a test of who loves discomfort more, the tape hints at surprises. But momentum isn't built later. It starts now, with every stare and every handshake that isn't quite a handshake. For Chimaev, the blueprint is sharp and simple. Claim center, pressure defense, level change before the second read, and make Dricus choose between hips and head. Head hunts can be spiked by elbows. Hip hunts invite knees and uppercuts. If the takedown hits, slice to half guard, climb, threaten the choke as a forcing tool to free hands. The goal isn't a poster finish, it is compliance. Make the champion react instead of decide. For Dricus, the table flips. First contact must be damage, not defense. Clip the entry with hooks, spear the chest with a jab, hammer the legs early so the later shots arrive to a slower target. When stuck, refuse to be still. When free, score before resetting. It is not flashy, it is effective. Timing is its own opponent. Both men stand at the crossroads where expectation and opportunity collide. A successful defense can cement a legacy or expose a seam. A surging challenger can become a reign or a lesson. The hallway collision wasn't personal, it was gravitational. Two orbits orbits pulled onto one line. People talked about size, but power lives in intent, and intent lived in both sets of eyes. That is why the clip traveled fast. It wasn't a shove, it was a promise. Picture the opening minutes with that image in mind. Chimaev stalks with feints that tug at level. Dricus stays tall enough to deny the easy grasp, yet grounded enough to sprawl on a rushed shot. The first clinch will spill secrets. Who is stronger in balance? Who hides effort better? Who turns the break into a scoring moment? If Khamzat drags it down early, watch Dricus post, wedge, and carve space with a stubborn elbow on exit. If Dricus touches him clean on the way in, watch Khamzat answer with a grin that says, "Keep throwing, I'm still here." Damage accounting matters more than volume. Not every strike carries the same tax. A short elbow in the clinch can change a round more than a looping right. Knees to the body don't make highlight reels, but they make lungs complain 90 seconds later. Chimaev's ground shots are heavy. Dricus's phone booth punches are persistent. Each man has to tax choices, not just faces. If the champion can score while defending, the wrestler's math gets messy. If the challenger can deny resets and keep the ball rolling, control starts to look like stalling, and judges notice. Face-to-faces compress the story. Under bright lights, you can fake energy. In a quiet hallway, you cannot. Khamzat's posture said, "I am a storm." Dricus's said, "I am a lighthouse." Storms test lighthouses. Lighthouses outlast storms. That is the poetry, but it is also the practicality. Storms need fuel, lighthouses need bedrock. Fight week strips away extras until those truths remain. One man will learn that his fuel is endless under championship glare. The other will learn that his foundation holds when the water gets loud. Both can be true until the cage door shuts. Then there is belief. Chimaev believes no man can meet him in straight lines or crooked ones without getting hauled into deep water. Du Plessis believes any room you meet him in, clean or chaotic, can be bent his way with enough exchanges. That mutual certainty is rare. It turns touch into trial. It turns a handshake into a contract. The clip proved the contract is signed. Now the pages wait for signatures written in pace and pressure. No trash angles needed. No shouting required. Just two professionals on a collision course. What if the first minute is quiet? What if each man answers the other's best tool with composure, and the fight becomes a chessboard? That is when second plans matter more than first instincts. For Khamzat, it is the credible hands that freeze hips and buy clean entries. For Dricus, it is the case-building jab and calf kick that stack points while forcing new looks. Long nights favor the fighter who loves process, not just moments. The face-to-face hinted that both love process. They didn't posture, they measured. They didn't flinch, they filed notes. So here we are. A champion who turns chaos into control, and a challenger who turns control into collapse. The camera caught size, the silence beneath it caught resolve. Soon there will be gloves, a bell, a referee's voice. But the first contact has already happened, and it happened without a word. Sometimes quiet is the loudest promise. Sometimes the stillness before the storm is the real alarm. Fight week is alive, and if that backstage moment was a preview, the opening bell won't just start a fight, it will open a question neither man can avoid. There is also the crowd factor and the myth of first contact. Fans read body language like scripture, but cameras lie by omission. A clipped angle can make anyone look bigger, colder, or closer than they are. Reports claim Khamzat's camp liked the matchup the moment it was offered. Rumors suggest Dricus's team welcomed the style clash too, trusting weird rhythms over perfect form. None of that wins rounds. Judges respect damage, control, and intent in that order, and a single moment can swing the score. That is why patience matters as much as pressure. And do not forget the simplest truth of fight weeks like this. Respect does not mean softness, it means clarity. Each man has seen the other in motion now, not just on a monitor, but at breathing distance. That matters. It sets the pulse for everything that follows. Media, weigh-ins, last drills, the walk. It strips the story back to its bones. A massive challenger with a sprinting engine, a champion with awkward power and granite will. The first time they met, it was quiet. The next time, millions will listen. They have agreed on the terms without signing anything. One man will impose, one will endure, and for a few minutes the sport will feel simple. Two wills, one cage, and no exit but proof.